the promised land. But if you don't know that story, it is going to have such an incredible implication for you and for your life and for what God is calling you into in this season and in this moment as well. Let me just give us a little bit of the backdrop of what's going on when we come to the book of Joshua in Scripture. And the verses right above, at the end of the book of Deuteronomy, it says that Moses has died. In fact, that's how Joshua opens. It's God speaking to Joshua, this young leader, and he tells him Moses has died. And before Moses died, God took him up on a mountaintop and he allowed him to see over into the promised land. Now, this is land that God has promised to his people for centuries before. And now's the moment where he's ready to lead the people into the promise. But Moses isn't going to get to go. Moses, one act of unfaithfulness is going to cause him to come a step short of being the man that God uses to lead the people into this promise. But God loved Moses, and he was for Moses. He took him up on the top of Mount Nebo, and he showed him all the land. And then it says, interestingly in that text, that Moses died there, and that God buried him in Moab. And no one to this day knows where that is. That's because Moses and God had a very special relationship. And then the page turns, and we see now Joshua unfolds, and this young leader is tapped by God to do the great work of leading God's people into this promised destination that God has had in mind for them all this time. I love it when you think about this story, when you just take a few steps back and peel the layers back, that the people of Israel had come out of Egypt. And for God to deliver them out of Egypt, a miracle had to happen. There was a great body of water there, the Red Sea, and an army behind them. And God, with his mighty hand, parted the water, dried the ground, led his people through, and delivered his people on this journey to the promised land. But now 40 years have gone by because of their hard-heartedness, their stubbornness, their inability to trust and believe God. 40 years have gone by, and now they arrive at the promised land. But guess what? It's not just, well, here we are, let's go into the promised land. Once again, there's a body of water between the people of God and the promise of God. And this time, it's the Jordan River. And for the people to cross into the promised land, God has to do another miracle. And he has to part the water one more time. I don't know where you are in your story, but I do know this. I know that all of us are coming through seasons of coming out, and all of us are coming to seasons of going in. And I have a feeling that somebody in the study, on the journey with us right now, is coming out of something that you need to see God do a miracle, or maybe you're going into something and you need to see God do a miracle. And I think just at the beginning of this journey with Joshua, we see God is the one who makes the way. You know, the psalmist says something that I've always loved, especially in seasons of transition in life. He says, may the Lord bless your going out and your coming in from this time forth and forevermore. What an incredible promise. You're leaving one state, leaving one job, one season of life, moving into another one, maybe graduating from college and moving into grad school, or changing careers altogether, getting married, having kids, a season change in life. And what the psalmist said is, may the Lord bless your coming out of this season, and may he bless your going in to the next season. And I don't know what that season is for you, but I know this. I know God is the same God today as the God who parted the waters to lead his people out of Egypt. And he's the same God today who parted the Jordan River to lead his people into the promised land. So I was just in the Holy Land a few months ago, and all this is really clear in my mind, but if you need a visual, let me just take us one more layer down, and then we'll jump back into the text. So we're in the Holy Land. The Mediterranean Sea is here, Israel here, and above is the Sea of Galilee, below the Dead Sea, and connecting the Sea of Galilee and the Dead Sea is the Jordan River. The people of God are coming this way, and they're moving from east to west, and so they're crossing over into the promised land, what is now Israel, crossing over the Jordan River. They're faced with the river at flood tide, and now they're trusting God to lead them in